Alright guys, this is the Hesi A Square Biology / A&P tutorial or study with me session, whatever you want to call it. And I just have to mention, like I did in the other videos, that I've taken the Hesi twice and I passed both times. Also, I took the Kaplan prenursing exam and the TEAS prenursing exam. So I have a lot of experience with these exams. So if you're taking one over the other, I think the information will still apply. This is basic biology and basic A&P. So let's get started. Alright guys, so let's start with the level of organization. We have atoms, and atoms make up cells. Cells make up tissues. Tissues make up organs. Organs make up organ systems like the liver and the skin. And then those organ systems make up the organism, the human body. And then humans, the organism, makes up the population. Next, we have the level of classifications: domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So there's a mnemonic that could help you remember. It's dear for domain, king for kingdom, Philip for phylum. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, please excuse me. And we have C, came for class, over for order, from for family, Germany for genus, Saturday for species. Dear King Philip came over from Germany Saturday. That's a mnemonic to help you remember the classifications, starting with the largest to the least. Now we're going to go and talk about the 4 macromolecules, which are the most important molecules: proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. It's vital to know that. Okay guys, so the scientific method composes of 4 basic steps: observation, hypothesis, experiment, and conclusion. The first step, observation, is where new observations are made or previous data is studied. The second step, hypothesis, is a statement or explanation stage where certain events are happening, an educated guess as some people call it. The third stage, experiment, is a stage where repeatable procedures of gathering data to support the hypothesis are refuted. The last stage is conclusion. This is where the data and the significance are fully explained. Next, we're going to talk about these macromolecules again: carbohydrates, nucleic acid, proteins, and lipids. We're going to talk a little bit about their structures or whatever. So I'll go ahead and start with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are long chains of polymers of sugars, and we all know them by saccharides and things like that. Carbohydrates are used in the body for storage, structure, and energy. It is also the backbone of DNA and RNA. Nucleic acid is essentially RNA and DNA. Proteins, which is very important, are the most significant contributor to cell function. They are made up of 20 molecules called amino acids. And lipids are known as fats, but especially they are fatty acids, they are phospholipids, and they're steroids. So that's something to keep in mind for the test. I'll go ahead and write. Once again, I'll put saccharides. These are other names for sugars. And nucleic acid, DNA, and RNA. And then proteins, amino acids, 20 to be specific, 20 amino acids. And then lipids, that compose of phospholipids. I don't know if I'm spelling that right. Phospho. And steroids. Now, on a very molecular level, here's the hierarchy, the biology hierarchy again. Atoms make up molecules, molecules make up organelles, organelles make up cells, cells make up tissues, tissues make up organs, and organs make up organ systems, hence the human body. So I mention that because Organelles. We're going to talk about cell structures. Alright, guys, so now we're going to talk about eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Now these types of cells are different and there's some similarities as well. So you might run across a question that asks most likely about their differences, not so much their similarities, but just in case you do, the similarities are that they both have DNA, they have ribosomes, they have cytoplasm, and they also have plasma membrane. Now let's talk about some of the things that makes them different. Well, eukaryotic cells are like us humans. They are 80, their size of the ribosomes are 80s, and they're much larger than prokaryotes. And they're complex, they have a nucleus, they have membrane-bound organelles, like the mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, things like that. And then they do mitosis. And prokaryotes, they don't do that. They do a process called binary fission. And they're simple, they don't have organelles, they're much smaller, and their ribosomes are 70s. And instead of having like a nucleus like the eukaryotic cells have, they have like what's called an unbound, or like a half of a nucleus, which is called a nucleoid, which is not the same thing as a nucleus. It's like half of it, as they call it. So one way that you can remember, or one way that I remember, always remember, even if I'm not taking up any type of sciences, I remember no. So I'm gonna just write that down here for you guys. That's how I remember what was the difference. So pro, no, and no just basically means there's no organelles, no nucleus. That's what that means. But technically pro means before. That's what it technically means. So before nucleus, that's what it stands for. And then eukaryote. Can't find the blue. There's the blue one. The EU means true. So I'll write that here. So that means true nucleus. So that's one way that you can remember who has the nucleus and who has the organelles. So pro, no, pro, before. So that's how I remember. Okay, so let's talk about those organelles. And FYI, the reason why they're named organelles is because they function very much similar to organs. They work together like organs. Okay, let's start with mitochondria. Mitochondria is the cell's powerhouse. I always think about the mitochondria like a charger to my phone. If I don't have my charger, my phone is pretty much futile because it'll go dead. It's a powerhouse. Ribosomes, they are the ones responsible for making protein. They're composed of two different components, rough ER, that's the endoplasmic reticulum, and smooth ER. Okay, so rough ER, it makes protein, it packages proteins as well, and also membrane production. And then smooth ER, it detoxifies and metabolizes certain organelles, and it has no ribosomes. That's the most important thing to do, because I do remember a question that asked that. So rough, soft, smooth ER does not have any ribosomes. So Golgi apparatus, this is the cell's shipping department, and I always remember that because there's a US in it, and I always think about UPS, like in how UPS packages and delivers our different products that we order. So that's how I always remember it. Okay, vacuoles are storage warehouses for molecules. I look at them, think about them as a storage. I used to say vacuum cleaner, but I think storage would be better, well-fitting for vacuums. And lysosomes, they're the cell's janitors. They dispose waste. And I always remember, because of the LY, I always think about Lysol and how Lysol is used to clean. So I always just like remember that because the LY in there. I don't know, it's just something that helps me. So I just want to mention chloroplasts. I want to talk about that. This is of course only in plant cells, but anyway, chloroplasts are the generators in plant cells. They make the photosynthesis process possible, and they don't have mitochondria, but they do have, this is what plants use to get their energy. And what happens in photosynthesis real quickly is that the cells use energy from the sun, and the sun turns it into carbon dioxide and water, and it turns it into glucose plus a waste of oxygen. Not sure if this is on the test or not, but I just feel like it's good to know. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. Yeah, I just wanted to sound fancy. So they're composed of different sequences, and you guys, I'm pretty sure, are familiar with them. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. That's their pair, and then adenine, uracil, and cytosine and guanine. This is the RNA. The only thing that you need to remember is that RNA has uracil instead of thymine. Okay, so now we're talking about the tissues of the body. These are the four main tissues of the body: epithelial, which is like the skin; connective, like blood; muscular tissue, like different muscles that we have in the body, like gluteus maximum; nervous tissue, which composed of like neurons. So I won't go into all of the scientific, very specific details about mitosis and meiosis because I think it's irrelevant, okay? At least for the test. For the test's sake. So I'll just go over the basic phases of mitosis and meiosis because these are the questions that you're going to be asked. What phase does what, and what phase comes first, and things like that. It won't give you like any deep information, like any deep topics or anything like that. So I'm gonna do MTAT for the different phases. That helps me to remember. Hopefully it helps you. P for prophase. M for metaphase. A for anaphase. T for telophase. And this is going to be A. And these small little pieces here are going to be T. Know that mitosis produces two daughter cells. I think you'll be asked on stuff like that, like which one. That's a daughter cell right there too. Both of these here. Like which one produced daughter cells, two daughter cells. They'll ask you questions like that. And meiosis produces collectively 20 chromosomes, which is these four haploid cells. Alright, some important facts that you need to know about mitosis and meiosis is that they all have similar phases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, which is represented by the letters inside of the cell. So what's also important to know is to know what these different processes produce. Now, meiosis is known for producing sex cells, gametes. So it produces 20 chromosomes, which is 4 haploid cells, and then mitosis produces 2 daughter cells. That's important for you to know. Now I'll leave a picture on the screen giving you further details about how these two processes are different and how they are similar. The 11 body systems are as follows: the integumentary system, skeletal system, muscular system, nervous, endocrine, cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, respiratory, digestive, urinary, and reproductive. Okay, cardiovascular system. The components are blood, the heart, and blood vessels like arteries and veins. Now the function of the cardiovascular system has quite a few functions. Well, the heart is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. It's a very important job. And then blood carries oxygen, nutrients, and waste. It also helps regulate pH balance, temperature, and also water. And blood components help defend against diseases. We all know them as white blood cells. Okay, so now we're going to go over the blood flow of the heart. And please, if you feel like you need to slow this video down within the YouTube settings, do so, because I know the blood flow of the heart can be quite difficult sometimes. So I wrote everything with deoxygenated blood for when the blood is deoxygenated in blue, and everything that is oxygen rich blood in red. So I'm gonna use this purple marker here to label the number. I'm gonna label with numbers what steps that the body takes for the blood flow of the heart. Okay, so if it serves my memory correct, the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava is simultaneously. So I'll just say this is one, because you'll see sometimes they'll have superior second or inferior second. I guess it just really depends on the author. So these are the first two steps. It goes, I'll show you guys a picture as well. Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava goes into the right atrium, that upper chamber of the heart. And then it goes to the right anteroventricular valve, which is sometimes called tricuspid valve. And what we used to use, I'll let you guys know about this little this acronym a little bit later after we finish, because it'll make sense. So right atrium will be the second step, and then the third will be the right anteroventricular valve, or the tricuspid valve. And then the fourth step will be that other chamber. The lower chamber will be the right ventricle. And then from there, the blood travels to the pulmonary semilunar valve, and that from there it goes to the pulmonary trunk and to the pulmonary arteries. And so from that point on, it travels to the lungs right here. So I'm supposed to be writing the steps down for you guys. I'm so sorry. That's 5. This is 6, 7, 8. All right, so let me see if I can get on the other side. I have boxes over here. So the next step would be the pulmonary valves. This is when it comes back from the body with oxygenated rich blood. So 9 is the pulmonary veins, and 10 would be the right atrium. And left atrium. And then next up would be the left anteroventricular valve, which is called a bicuspid valve or the mitral valve. So you'll hear like different names for it, but just know the different names. And then the next step would be to the left ventricle, which is going to be that chamber that contracts, which is the largest chamber of the heart. And I'll explain that a little bit later too. That contracts to push that blood all the way to the pulmonary semilunar valve again. So I'll just count this step again. I don't think that's important or relevant for you to know for the test, but A&P wise, yeah. So it goes to this pulmonary valve again, and then it goes to the aorta vessels, and then there's like other vessels that, well, I won't really go into all those different vessels that they don't really have that on the test. But what you need to know is probably these basic steps right here on the board. And some things to keep in mind with biology or in A&P, your left is not your right, and your right is not your left. So this would be, let me get a pen. Oh, that's my box is falling on me. When you order too much stuff from Amazon, I don't know where to put it. Okay, so this will be considered the right side of the heart, and this will be the left side. So just keep that in mind when you're taking your test. Don't forget that little small thing. So we use this acronym RAD, like we use that in A&P, to remember that the tricuspid valve was on the right side, so right anteroventricular. So that's what that stands for, right anteroventricular. So that's how you know it's a tricuspid valve. That's on the right side, and the bicuspid valve is on the left side.
One thing you have to also talk about is arteries and veins. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, oxygenated blood away from the heart, and then veins carry blood towards the heart, and that'll be deoxygenated blood. And then I don't think they talk about capillaries, but you know, capillaries are the smallest vessels there is. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't think they talk about capillaries. Just in case they do talk about capillaries, they are exchange vessels. They exchange between the blood and the body tissues. Alright guys, let's talk about these 3 systems: the integumentary system, the skeletal, and the muscular system. Now I'm not going to write everything on the board because it's just way too much to write, and I am getting tired standing up here. This is going to be a long video, and I don't want to make it longer, so I'm going to talk a little fast. So if I'm talking too fast for you, just be sure to check the setting and slow the video down, and I'm pretty sure you still can do that. I'm not sure, but slow the video down if you need to. So let's start with the integumentary system. The primary organ for the integumentary system is the skin, and the components are as follows: hair, fingernail, toenail, sweat glands, and oil glands. The functions are to protect the body, regulate body temperature, eliminates waste, makes vitamin D, detects symptoms, and it stores fat. The integumentary system. Now, the skeletal system is composed primarily, the primary organ rather, is bones, which bones do not move for some reason. All right, the primary function of the skeletal system is that it supports and protects the body. It provides a surface area for for muscles to attach movements. It houses cells that produce blood and stores lipids and minerals. Excuse me, I can't read my own handwriting. Muscular system. The muscular system primary organs are the muscles. The components are skeletal muscle tissue, smooth and cardiac muscle. The function of the muscular system is movement, posture, and heat. I would also recommend that you brush up on all of the main muscles of the body. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the nervous, endocrine, and lymphatic systems. I'm going to skip over cardiovascular because I already touched on that one. The nervous system components are the brain, the spinal cord, nerves, special senses, organs like the eyes and ears. The function of the nervous system is nerve impulses to regulate body cavities. It detects change in the body, interprets changes, and can cause muscular contractions. That is the nervous system. The endocrine system components are hormones that are found in the pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, the thymus, thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, adrenal glands, pancreas, ovaries, and testes. The function of the endocrine system is to regulate body activities by releasing hormones. It can't function alone without the cardiovascular system. Just a little something that you need to know. All right. Now, since we are skipping over the cardiovascular system, we're talking about the lymphatic system. The components of the lymphatic system are as follows: lymphatic fluid, vessels, the spleen, the thymus, lymph nodes, tonsils, cells that carry out immune responses like B cells, T cells, etc. The function of the lymphatic system are as follows: it returns protein and fluid to the blood. It carries blood. It's a site of maturity of proliferation and B cells and T cells that protects against disease-causing microbes. All right, guys. So now we're going to talk about the anatomical planes of the body. So you see in red, the image is slicing the body left and right. That is called the median plane or the medial plane, or sometimes people say the sagittal plane, which slices the body left to right. And then next we have the horizontal plane or the transverse plane, which slices the body top and bottom. So if you were to slice your body top and bottom, it's in green. That will be considered a horizontal or transverse plane. And then we have the coronal or frontal plane. That just slices the body front and back. And that's represented in the color blue there. The last plane I would like to talk about is the oblique plane. The oblique plane divides the body into superior and inferior parts, just like the horizontal or transverse plane, but the only difference is it cuts diagonally. Never let monkeys eat bananas. It's a mnemonic that we use in A&P to rank the normal count of white blood cells in the human body. Starting with neutrophils, they account for 60 to 70% of white blood cells, lymphocytes 20 to 40%, monocytes 3 to 10%, and eosinophils 1 to 4%. Basophils less than or 1% in the human body. Let's talk about neutrophils and their looks and functions. So far as their looks, neutrophils have a multi-lobe nucleus, and in their cytoplasm they have granules that are red, bluish, or maybe they look kind of pale or whatever, but that's what they look like. And for their function, neutrophils are the first of all the WBCs to respond to any type of foreign object in the body, including bacterial, fungal, or any type of virus. Moving on, let's talk about lymphocytes. Lymphocytes, for their looks, they have a large nucleus, as you see in the picture. There's no granules or anything like that. And one of their main functions is to fight off infections by producing antibodies. And something that you may remember or may not remember, but they also include B cells and helper T cells.
Monocytes. Monocytes have a kidney-shaped nucleus, and they are the largest of all the WBCs. There's no granules. Monocytes' main function is phagocytosis, which is the cleaning of dead blood cells or any type of bacteria or fungus or virus that was in the body. Eosinophils. Eosinophils have a bilobe nucleus, and their granules are like a dark pink color, and sometimes it looks reddish, more like a fuchsia color, I suppose. The main function of eosinophils are parasitic infections and allergy reactions. So it's like an anti-inflammatory type of WBC. Alright guys, last but not least, we have the basophils. Basophils are bilobe nucleus as well. They have dark purple granules in their cytoplasm, and their main function is to ward off or fight against asthma attacks or any type of allergic reaction within the body. Okay, so you may get a question that asks you, out of all the WBCs, which ones are granulocytes and which ones are agranulocytes. Now, one way that helps me to remember is I use an acronym called BEN. And BEN stands for basophil for B, E stands for eosinophils, and N stands for neutrophils. So that helps me to remember what cells or which WBCs are those granulocytes. Now, if that doesn't help you, you can easily look at a picture that you may be provided and see what cells have granulocytes in their cytoplasm, and those will tell you basically which ones are granular. All right, guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching this video and joining our growing community. I want to give a shout out to those who have commented in my previous videos. First, we have 2CR Tusai 103. He or she commented and said, "Oh my God, thank you. I'm currently studying and I suck at chemistry. You are a real MVP." Well, thank you, 103. You're MVP as well for watching these videos. Next, we have Sandra Bush, who commented, "Hello, did you take the biology? If so, how did you study?" Well, Sandra, because of you commented, I decided to push this video out today because it is a lot. Biology and science is a lot, but you motivated me to push out the video, and I appreciate you commented and subscribing, Sandra Bush. Thank you. And lastly, guys, we have Justine Bruner, who commented, "Hello, thank you for your video. I just wanted to say that you have learn versus teach backward. Learn means to receive or acquire knowledge, and of course teach means to give knowledge." So if you guys have watched the Hesi A² grammar video, then you would know toward the end of the video I made a mistake and switched up teach versus learning meaning. So I'll just clear it up once again. Thanks to Justine, I noticed that I did. Okay, so learn means to receive knowledge from someone or acquire it from someone. And then teaching means to give that knowledge to someone else. Okay, so if you guys notice any other errors on any of one of my videos, please don't be afraid to comment down below to let me know so that everybody else watching the video can benefit from it as well. So thank you guys so much for watching the video and joining our growing community. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.